Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the show. It is me, your boy Rico No Suave, man. I am super happy to be back with each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys so much for being, hey, did you miss me? Because I missed you. Otra vez, mi gente. I am super happy to be back with you for another great talk show. Man, I'm always super excited to actually be able to talk to you guys and bring you some great guests. But this past weekend was super exciting. That's all I have to say. It was super exciting. And you know why? Because I had the gift that was given to me, credentials to be a part of NASCAR. And when I got my credentials, and big shout out, of course, we had nothing but a blast. And this was the first time that I've actually ever covered this. And I want to say big shout out to my man, Shane Von Gisbergen. Awesome guy, man. I had a pleasure actually saying hello to him when he came into the Art Institute. But this gentleman here won the race. Essential Health, big shout out to you guys as well too. But all of the drivers, man, they were really cool. The staff was awesome. NASCAR was just amazing here in Chicago. So it was a NASCAR Street Race Chicago 2023. I was able to talk to a few people. I got the people hyped up, man, and I have to tell you, it was a great experience for Chicago. Chicago having a street race, where I know that there's street race that happen in Chicago here and there, but to be able to have an official NASCAR street race here, it was awesome. I do want to show you guys a video, and I want you guys to listen. I want you to turn this up because I had the privilege to be able to record all of the race cars actually going through, so you guys can actually hear how loud it gets, how intense it actually gets at a street car race or just a race in general for NASCAR. All right, let's run that video. Here we go. So that was the excitement that I actually had to go through just to be able to make sure I felt like, wow, all of these cars are going at 150 miles per hour, hitting these curves. These professional drivers, and the pit road was insane when it was changing the tires and all of that great stuff. But being part of the media, it was such a great opportunity for me to understand how NASCAR, what it was all about, because NASCAR was definitely something that everyone should definitely experience. But when it comes to media and the credentials, I was so privileged. I want to say a big shout out to my man Brandon Eason from WBBM Chicago for actually just showing the love and just welcome me to the big leagues as well too. I could not be more humbled by this as well too. So you already know, everybody. I'm super happy about that. And once again, thank you to NASCAR, the Street Race. Man, that was awesome. All right, so I have a gentleman, we call him it's almost like a movie, right? Like The Specialist, right? And one thing that I have to say about this gentleman is his passion for photography, for video, for music. He's also, he's a partner of Prana Songbird, who we actually had on the show, and he also helps manage that. But one thing about this gentleman, you can definitely tell that he loves what he's doing. And of course, he's not in his hometown. He actually flew into St. Louis right now. And I tell you, my man is definitely comfortable. I want you guys to stand up. I want you guys to put your cameras, if you want it, to the screen. Take a photo of him. Put your hands together for none other than my man, Erik Krefeld. Let's go. Yeah. Erik, are you there?
I am, man. Thank you. That was a great intro. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. It's so great to actually have you here on the Rico No Suave show. And man, I am super, super happy to hear more about, your journey, man, and how passionate you are. But before we get started, do you have any shout outs you want to give out to anybody?
Man, I could just sit here for the whole time and shout out. Shout out, definitely, hey, to Rico No Suave for, bringing me up here. And the NASCAR story, bro, that you were telling. I've
Yeah.
been privileged to be. I've shot for NASCAR. I've shot for Bike Week. I've shot for hydroplane races. There's not a sport I haven't shot. And you're right, it is intense. So shout out to all those drivers because it is intense.
Yes.
It's hot. It's
Yes.
just a lot of chaos all at the same time. Shout out to all of them. Shout out to our publicist, Marlene Palumbo at Indian Ink. Shout out
Yes.
to
Marlene.
Carl
Yes.
who hooked us all up. I could go on and on all night if you want.
Yeah,
Just
man, that's love, man, and I'm so happy. I guess that's why you're here. I'm so glad that you're here. That you actually shot for for NASCAR and actually for sports because we're actually going down that road as well too. And of course, I'm a big sports fan, but I've always loved race cars, and actually dirt bikes. That was just some of the things that I really loved because as a kid, I used to take my dirt bike, of course not, I'm just a regular bike, right? And go up the hills and down the hills and through the forest and all of that stuff and popping wheelies and all of that good stuff, man. I just used to love that when I was younger, and I love watching that, man. So I'm so glad that you experienced that
well,
as well too.
Prana and I are now official bike riders too. So Prana rides a Ducati, so
Nice.
she's cool like that. Yeah, yeah. I'm on a Harley. um, and yeah, I mean, we're one of the things we're planning is a bike ride. We're gonna do this bike ride for We Are Starfish. That's called the Light the Way ride. It's
Okay.
part of the cool stuff that we're doing. But yeah, I
Okay.
mean, bikes and boats and just filming sports is amazing in general. Filming anything is amazing, but sports,
Yeah.
it's like you get that adrenaline thing going when you're filming it, and
Man, I was taking photos. I was like this, taking photos, and then I would take the video, and at the end, I was like this. Let's go. I
oh
was like,
yeah,
let's go.
one of the weirdest, funnest ones I did was I did I don't even know what you call it. It was mudding. I did a mudding thing. Like it was all weekend. It was mudding in Florida, and it's like a big deal. I mean, they have like a
Yeah.
mud princess and everything that they like pick her up and they throw her off the mudding jeep into the mud, and somebody has to dive in and get her out of the mud. And
Wow.
yeah, and but those mudding vehicles that are going through that mud, it's intense. It was really cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it does get crazy. I mean, it does get crazy. Like when they start, fusion, put a little fusion to it and try to be creative, you tend to be like, man, what is this? Like, where does this come from? Like, and then you're shooting it and you're like looking a certain way, like, man, this is awesome. I think that is interesting, right? It's very
Well, it's
interesting. So
everything too. It's everything. The whole environment. I mean, there's dirt and dust in the air, and there's popcorn and hot dogs and things. There's these smells everywhere and all this noise, and then there's usually music and people talking, and it's crazy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's wow, man. Hey, so let's get it on, man. Let's get it on because I definitely want to hear about you and your passion. So let's talk about when you were young, right? So when you were young, you start to incorporate as far as photography at a young age. Tell us about where did your passion come from when it came to growing up.
Sure. Well, shout out to my mom and dad, man. My mom and dad always, worked hard. They're just middle class people, just average, normal people, and they worked really hard to be able to provide opportunities for me when I was a kid.
Uh huh.
And my dad loved to take photos. I have books and books and books. There are endless supplies of photos because of my dad, and
Yeah.
he liked to take photos of flowers and animals and trees and people photos too. But he's also an artist and a painter, and um, I don't know, man. Some of that just rubbed off on me because I'm adopted,
Okay.
so I didn't get any of those genes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but I grew up with that. I grew up with this household that was always full of music and art and and it definitely, it definitely made an impression on me. I started writing poetry when I was real young.
Wow.
I think I wrote my mom and dad my first little poetry book when I was about 8 years old. Um, and I carried all of it all through everything. I felt like, looking back on it all, I felt like art, whether it was, I was never good at really drawing.
Sure.
My dad, that was his thing. I was never good at it. But art in general, music, photography, poetry, all of that kind of artistic expression, I always felt like that was the stuff that like helped me get through everything that I needed to get through. Kids, we
Yeah.
go through a lot, man. We go through a lot, even in the best scenarios, just getting through the world into, adultdom. Um,
Yeah.
we
When
go
it
through a
came
lot of
to,
stuff.
I had a quick question about that because as you're growing up and of course, being adopted, you still have a legal guardian, but and sometimes you still have that. How can I say? You have that gene that may fill that gap of learning from your parents, right? For your guardians, right? And one of the things about photography, even though you wasn't drawing, even when you took a picture itself of someone like a candid photo or maybe a creative art, and in that case, photography piece, what type of photography at a young age were you kind of creative at, do you think?
Nature. I'm just, it took me a long time to understand it, but nature is definitely where I feel at peace. I always felt it, but I didn't really like, I guess, recognize it a whole lot. But I feel peace. I feel next to God when I'm just surrounded by nature. I'm always so in awe of what He's done here
Yeah.
when I'm in nature. And so, yeah, when I can photograph nature or just stand quietly in the presence of some natural thing, that's where it's at.
I like that because I'm a nature guy too, and I love to fish, right? I'm a fisherman, right? A lot of people don't know that. I'm kind of bringing out my nature skills, right? So when it comes down to like nature in general, it's the scenic routes that we were kind of talking about because before we started the show of actually understanding and loving nature in regards to what was built, right? I think
Yeah.
one of the biggest things about nature is understanding how things are actually developed and also what actually happened, during the time of a thunderstorm. What did it look like after a thunderstorm, right? Or, what did it look like when it was like super hot and things were just dried up, right? And like, man, what is this actually looking like, right now? And then rain hits, right? Again, it might dry up and then rain hits. And then there's a different type of another form that nature takes, and it's like, man, this is so interesting, right? It's just so interesting how it happens, how things actually happen and how things develop. But I really like, I'm a big fan of nature. Thanks to my papa, he actually took us everywhere where there was nature because of fishing, right? And also animals. When you took photos of nature, was there also, speaking of animals, were there also animals involved as well?
Yeah, I've always been a huge animal lover too. There's always been a dog in my life. In fact, there's a joke a running joke that I'm not sure I can function without a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my wife and I, when we first started dating, I had this little dog, Tazzy. She'd been with me forever. She'd gone through several girlfriends with me. She was my girl that stuck around. And
I
so yeah, when
like
I
that.
met Prana, I introduced her to my dog, and I, I I let the dog sit on the front seat of the truck with me when I picked Prana up for a ride, and I let the dog sit in between us.
Nice.
And it was a funny moment because looking back as a married man, I'm like, man, that was a really bad decision. That could have screwed up everything right there. But Prana, graceful, as she is, she allowed me to have my dog there in between us, and my dog had an underbite. She's long passed, but
Sure.
she had this underbite, and so she was sitting there in between me and my wife, and she was with her little underbite, just staring at Prana the whole time. Like, I'm here. You can leave anytime. um, so yeah, dogs have always been a part of my life. Horses, goats, chickens. I have a whole chicken farm. I'm crazy about chickens. So yeah, I'm an animal lover. Definitely.
So are you saying that's where I can come and get my eggs if you're a chicken lover? If you got
Absolutely,
the,
man. Dude, I got the French black and copper Moran chocolate eggs. So
oh man, let's get it. I like that. Oh man, you should have told me that. That's why I'm glad I'm your friend now. I'm so glad that you're on the show. I can get my eggs now because I love to cook. Wow,
right
that's
on.
awesome. So. What do you have your chicken farm at?
It's in Georgia.
Okay.
We've got right now we're down to about 10 chickens. I just got 3 little babies that hatched, so I'm at about 13 now. I've had
Wow.
as many as probably 25, 30 at one point, and then I was like, okay, get it under control, tailor it down a little. uh, and then I started getting all weird chicken experimenting. I was like, I
Oh.
got this French black and copper Moran, and I got olive egger hens, and I want to see what they do when they get together and what comes out and what happens next. And then I started breeding silkies, and I don't know, it got crazy. And then I dialed it all back. You know.
You had your not your ordinary chicken farm, right? Oh wow, that's cool, man. That's cool. The more I talk to you, the more I like the way you like to fuse things up. I see. That's what I like about it, Eric. That's cool, man. That's
Hey, if I'm
cool.
gonna do something, I'm gonna do it all the way. Like it
Yes,
might take me
sir.
to the edge of the cliff, and then I gotta go, oh, wow, that's deep down there. I'm gonna back it off.
Well, that's cool because photography, man. I'm sure you have some beautiful photography of nature. One of my favorite. Did you have a favorite photographer that you always looked up to when it came to nature? I should say nature wise.
I mean, there's the one dude, Ansel Adams, that he's got the most incredible stuff everywhere all the time.
Yes.
But I really dig. There's a app I have on my phone called ViewBug,
Mm-hmm.
and I love ViewBug because the whole thing is about like posting up your pictures and sharing pictures with other photographers and liking their pictures. And this is not a commercial for ViewBug because
Sure.
they don't pay me to say anything. But it just the truth is it's cool to have to when you get a chance to share something that you really love with other people that really love that stuff,
Yeah.
and just get their impression about it. Everybody's impression about it is interesting to me, but
Yeah.
when I can hit up somebody who has something else that I appreciate that they do, and I can show them something I did, I don't know. It's just there's something that connects us then.
Yeah, and I think for that, Ansel Adams was my favorite. Ansel Adams has always been my favorite when it came to, black and white photos. Black and white photos, of course, I think that's why I found the love of black and white photos because I watched and I actually bought so many of his portraits, right? And so
Yeah.
many of his paintings. I was like, I got to do this in black and white. I got to take this photo in black and white. But when it came to
That man had it
nature,
down.
man,
Yes, he had it down. And what he did with black and white photography and the monochromatic and the gray tones, and he just brought photography into a whole different world with that medium.
yeah, yeah. It made you look at a tree that was by itself and out of nowhere in black and white, and you're like, oh my God, I want to know where that tree is at. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's insane. Like I'm like,
My
Ansel
son,
Adams had an eye for that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
my son, when we baptized my son, I was out there with my camera, of course, taking pictures of everything and videotaping everything, and nonsense as usual. Um, But the first thing I did was I took a picture of him and I turned it all into a black and white monochromatic. It made it look like it came straight out of the 1920s or 1800s. I don't know. And whenever I show
Ooh,
that to people, they're just like, "Wow, that's
ooh,
like how did you do that?" I'm like, I'm not
yeah,
gonna tell you how I did it. I did
right.
it.
That's gonna cost you some money.
Right? Just my picture. I did it.
Exactly. Eric, so before we take a quick break, we got about 9 minutes until we take a quick break. But I do want to talk about one thing about photography in regards to your passion, of course, with nature. And I love it that you love Ansel Adams as well too. When people look at your photos, or even for a client, or let's say if you're at an exhibit, right? And if I had to ask someone about your photography piece, what would you expect for them to actually tell me about what they see in your photography?
I guess I would expect them to say that whatever it is, it tells a story. Doesn't matter if it's a leaf sitting on the ground with a raindrop on it, or if it's a huge setting. Whatever it is, it hopefully always tells a story. And that story, can be a little different for each person, and I'm cool with that because I like it where kind of like poetry too, where you can read a poem and you can read it a little differently than I do because of your experience, because of what you bring to the table. You read that poem a little different than I do. And the same thing is true with photography. I think that I designed the photo to look a certain way and to tell a story that I'm telling you, but you as a human being that has your own experience, you're going to look at that photo and see it just a little different than I do, and have your own story that it speaks to you. So
yeah, I think that's what I love about photography, is that you connect people with your story. But I think also the story of where people may want to be, or maybe they want to go, right? But also you might bring back memories, kind of like what you did with going back to the 1920s, right? Bringing back some old school photos and make people like, man, we should have a theme party like that, And then all of a sudden they just like, oh man, you know what, Eric, thank you so much for bringing that up. You just made me want to actually have a party just like that now. So I think exactly. And how many years have you been doing? I'm sorry. At a young age, when you had a love for nature, over time, did you also have like a tutor or an instructor to be able to help you along the way of photography?
Nothing in particular. I mean, I took classes. I went to college. I think my photography just comes from a desire to capture what I feel when I see something. And so I just played with cameras. I just kept playing with them and playing with colors and lights and textures and depths, and it just I couldn't say that I had any one person that really taught me anything about photography. Nature taught me itself about photography.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, of course, having that inner feeling of, of you and and actually I said you and nature itself. I think there's a lot that you can actually benefit from with meditation, and also being creative and just saying, how can I touch nature? How can I feel about where shall I be with nature? And then you all of a sudden just your mind just start being creative, right? And say, oh, let me take a picture of this bird, or let me take a picture of this fish trying to get on a land. I'm just joking. No, maybe just, just trying to actually, let me take a picture of the lake or the river or whatsoever. And I think that's a good meditation. I think you were teaching yourself, during those times with nature, because nature for me is more meditation, if anything. That's what I feel.
And it's just so healing. I mean, man, I've had some of my most profound moments just sitting alone and seeing something remarkable in nature. I know we got a commercial coming up, but if we want to get into one of those, man, I'll tell you, because it was a game changer for me. And it was all nature again. Just it's always that's where I find everything.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes, so if you want to if you want to indulge into that, yeah, I'm totally okay with that. If you have a quick story to talk about, how you really indulge, yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, there was this moment that and I've been photographing and videotaping and doing music and like all this stuff for years and years, and one of the things I do has me driving a lot from place to place and flying around a lot from place to place, as I am now. Um, so this one particular trip, I was driving from Massachusetts all the way to Florida, which
Hmm.
if you've never driven it, it's a pretty long drive.
Yep.
And somewhere in the middle of it, now I've been wrestling with a lot of stuff. I have a son that's adopted as well, and so we'd been wrestling with a lot of stuff with my own adoption started to come a little bit more out just because of now my son was being adopted, and so as we were adopting him, I kept thinking about my own adoption and how that was going to affect him, and just like I had so many things coming at me while I was doing this long drive, and during a long drive, all you can do is think. So I'm just thinking and driving, and I got off in Pennsylvania somewhere, and I had this moment, man, where the lady at the bagel shop told me that there was a beautiful waterfall that I just had to go see, and I'm like, oh, all right, well, you're right, I got to go see it. So I go to see it, and there was a spot. I can't tell you where the waterfall is. It's in Pennsylvania. You just got to drive around in Pennsylvania till you find it.
Yeah, we'll find it, right?
And it's near a bagel shop. It's probably only about 5 miles from a bagel shop. So there's your indicators there. Um, So I get to this waterfall and it's big, man. It's a big waterfall and it's just gushing down and water's splashing all over these rocks. And there's this one spot where the water has splashed on this rock so many times that it cracked the rock. And where it
Wow.
cracked the rock, a tree grew out. And I just was like in absolute awe that 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 moment when when life was able to come out of a rock because water splashed there for so long that the water could crack the rock and then the rock could sustain life. It just I was in awe. I literally
Wow.
had like a fall down moment where I was like, oh my gosh. So,
Wow.
yeah,
How
and I
high
did take.
was the waterfall itself? Was it super huge? Was it like,
Yeah,
yeah?
yeah, yeah, it was like probably, I don't know, probably at least 40, 50 feet tall. It was like one of those huge double decker ones where I was like kind of on a lifted terrace area, but it was under me and over me at the same time. And
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
That's awesome, man. That's cool. I like to hear that. I mean, and those are some of the things that you don't find very often. Like you don't find stuff that's actually of a waterfall, and then you're talking about a cracked rock, and then you're like, whoa, what's going on here? And nature, like we were saying before, nature does crazy things, man. Like the development of art and nature, and I'm assuming you took photos of that
yeah.
because that's something. Did you frame it?
I don't think I have ever framed a single photo I've taken. My wife keeps hounding me to do it. She's like, "There's so many cool photos you have. You need to frame them." And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think it's kind of like a musician where they write a song and they're like, I don't know if I'm really going to put it out there. I just kind of want to write it,
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah, I know a
Um,
few musicians that's like that too. Like they think that, we don't know if that song is gonna be good or not. But man, you definitely gotta frame your photos. Like I'm sure you have some amazing photos that you have to actually frame. Like, especially some of the ones that's, of course we go back to Ansel Adams, right? If you have a photo that makes a big difference that can speak to the world, you should definitely do that based off if people come over your house or whatsoever. But it depends on how you want to do that. But
there's one that I have that is so cool, man. And yes, I shot it, but whatever. It's not cool because I shot it. It's cool because it's cool. And it it's in California, man. We used to take these rides out on our motorcycles to Bodega Bay area,
yeah,
and my son was there, and it was like this amazing like golden light hour where the sun was just about to set, and everything, the conditions were absolutely perfect. There was the solar flares hitting everywhere, bouncing off the water, and my son's there and he's playing in the sand, and so you get this like almost silhouette of him, but there's this like blue light and orange light, and it's just is amazing. And I was like,
wow,
oh, I love that photo. So
nice.
something like that I could possibly frame.
Hey, you know what? If you need a second opinion, I'm here, right? I will definitely pull your arm and say, hey, bro, we have a connection with photography. I think you need to actually frame this, and hopefully you get some money out of it.
That'll be the next step. That'll be our next step. I'll put a little photo bucket together, and I'll send you I'll send you some photos and get your opinion on them.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Everybody, we got to take a quick commercial break. My man Erik Krefeld is in the show with us today as well, too. All right, Erik, we're going to be back. Give me like 30 seconds to a minute. We'll be back right after this, okay? All right, everybody, let's go to our social media and our commercial. All right, everybody. Yes, and we have none other than the unique event proudly presents my man Johnny Blas and the Afro Libre Orquesta, July 23rd, everybody. Man, that is going to be at Dirty Nelly's, everybody. That is going to be in Palatine. You guys got to check this out. So if you're here in Chicago or you're coming through Chicago itself, my man is going to be throwing down on his new single. Man, I've known Johnny Blas for many years, and he has performed over the expectations. I want you guys to tell your friends about it. I need you guys to tell your family members. You do not want to miss this at all. You don't want to miss this. Me quieren quitar mi ritmo. Tú sabes, Johnny Blas and the Afro Libre Orquesta. We're going to be talking about it some more coming up at our 45-minute. So, guys, make sure, please take note, take a picture of the screen. Make sure you go and show them love. It's only $25, but it's going to be worth it. All right, everybody, let's get back to my man, Erik Krefeld. Erik, you still there with me, my man?
I would dig that.
Yeah, I think you would love that, man. The music, with all of those congas, man. Oh my God, Johnny Blas is insane. When you come to Chicago, if you and your wife come to Chicago, you gotta definitely check out his band. If we have live bands, I have to show you guys around, man. You guys will enjoy some nice little Latin jazz there. He's the bomb. He is the bomb, man. So,
cool.
Yes. All right. We talked about photography, right? Everybody, if y'all already know, my man Erik Krefeld, the production specialist. We should make a movie out of this, right? You should make a movie, the production specialist. Yes. Let's talk about music, baby. Since we were already talking a little bit about Latin jazz, let's talk about music. So when it came to music at a young age as well, how did that actually affect you as far as with the family? Because I know your family was kind of diverse in a lot of things. Where did music actually come for you at a young age, growing into your teenage years as well?
Well, early on, I was privileged enough to go to a school that had a music program. Man, I went to public school. I had nothing fancy, no private stuffs, but I had a really great public school that had a really great music program. They had a great music program. We had some really great band instructors, some choral instructors. So from choir to musical theater to band, I was very privileged that existed. Well, where I was and when I was, and funny thing is like I don't have a natural propensity to, I don't know how to say it right, maybe, but so there was a guy that was in band with me, and if you've ever been in a school band, there's this thing about being first chair. And
okay.
Your whole purpose in being is to be first chair. So you practice, you study the music, and then once a week they would do this thing where you get to challenge whoever's first chair and play that thing and play it better than that person so that you could get to be first chair. And if you weren't better, then you had to keep trying until you could finally be first chair. Well, this one dude and I, we fought for years over first chair. We would just go back and forth over first chair. But he didn't have to practice. He was just good at it. He would just listen,
Natural.
do it. And it made me so angry because I had to practice really, really hard. I spent hours and hours just trying to be good at it. And he could just do it. And then I end up marrying this woman who, funny enough, like she could just is music and just oozes and breathes music. And yes, I have to work at music. But yeah, I grew up playing saxophone, and so like I can do most of the woodwind instruments, sax, clarinet, flute, oboe, and then of course it trickled over because because I couldn't beat him all the time at first chair. I was like, all right, well, we don't have a very strong brass line, so I'm going to learn how to play the trumpet. So that I have to play with him all the time. So I taught myself how to play the trumpet, and then from there I like messed around with flugelhorns and French horns. And at one point, I'm super small too, so like I'm all of 5'4", and just for
Okay.
fun, I decided I was going to play the tuba for a little bit because I wanted to like carry the tuba.
That's pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, it was just that I had a lot of musical. I can read bass clef, treble clef. I've got a pretty strong musical foundation. My brother does too. I have a younger brother, and he plays trumpet very well.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of musical, and all my friends were musical because again, if you're in band, choir, musical theater, all that kind of stuff, you end up just hanging in those groups a lot. So all of your friends end up being musical people also, and just a lot of musical people in my life.
That's awesome, man. And I have to commend you because of trying to get that first chair, number one, of course, and also battling the other person for first chair. But what that does is it teaches you to actually, know that for us in general, right, is always somebody better, right? That may come natural to it. I call them the naturals, right? And then for me, I always call
Hell yeah.
myself the struggler, right? The struggler, right? Trying to actually try and get myself to where they're at and try to get on that same page, right? And like, man, why is it doing this to me? Like, why can't I just get it like that other person? It just seems like there gotta be not a shortcut, but there gotta be an easier way for me to learn this, right?
Right. There's not.
Yeah, it's
Not for
just
us.
not. It's just you got to go through the
No.
whole. You got to go through the whole process. That's just how it is, and it's cool because you know what I also did. Even though you know about the saxophone piece, and then you went to the brass, and then the tuba. But what also helped you, Eric, is you know what? I just diversified. I just made myself. I wouldn't say complicate things. I just made myself even easier for access, just in case if I ever need those instruments and I need to play those instruments, I got them here, right? And I think that's the
Yeah.
best thing anybody can ask for. I mean, that's multi-talented, I
Well,
should
and
say.
it comes in handy now. Yeah, now it's super cool because my kid's almost 6 now, and so like yeah, I've pulled out my saxophone and played it for him a little bit, and he was like, okay, yeah, but for a 6-year-old, the saxophone's kind of big. It's kind of clunky,
Yeah.
and so I pulled out my trumpet, and that was like really appealing to him, and so like he actually started tinkering around with the trumpet, and he tinkers around on a piano. We have a really really good friend that a couple of ours friend it was a husband and wife couple that were very very close to us for a very long time. The husband passed away not too long ago,
Okay.
but he was also just a huge impression on my son growing up with music. Also, he bought my son a little piano to start working on. He bought my son a drum kit.
Wow.
Yeah, he started expressing some interest in playing drums. So my friend purchased a drum kit for him for Christmas one year, um, so yeah, it was just it's cool being able to even if I don't do any of it a whole lot anymore, to be able to introduce it to my kid,
Yeah.
it's cool.
I think one of the best things about being in a family of, I mean, I was like that as well too, being in a family of musicians, my father was a jazz artist as well. My mom sang, and we all used to sing if we could, and just playing different instruments. And I love the bongos and the congas, and my father tried to teach me to play piano. And you know, when he was growing up, his mom used to hit him with a ruler. I said, Dad, I don't want to learn how to play piano because your knuckles don't look right. I'm like, I don't. I want to keep my knuckles. I said, I don't want to go through that. I'll just go with the bongos, and if I'll just try to go somewhere else and learn it. But it's cool, man.
Don't let grandma at me, man. Don't let grandma at me.
Exactly. Because back then, rulers was no joke. Rulers was no joke when it came to actually
they were big, man. They were big and they were thick and they had the metal on them still.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you can imagine, man. I mean, my father, rest in peace, but my father was a very, very great piano player after that. And I was like, it's so good, in relation to what you're doing as far as at a young age, but also being surrounded and also, through class and things like that, with being able to learn how to play different instruments. I think that's a really great thing as far as for you. And of course, yes, it pays off in the long run. Now look at you, you have a great ear for it, right? And of course, with you and your beautiful wife, being able to play that music, but also listen to and say, oh, let's make some changes. So speaking of music, real quick, before we take another quick commercial break, when it came to you, as far as now, are you also the producer of the music that she comes out with, or do you also produce music as well?
Yeah, I mean it's very it's very undercover, low key. I spend a lot of time with her in the studio and out of the studio, making sure that I help her get the best sound that she puts out.
Yeah.
She has an official producer that produces most of her stuff. That's Thomas Marolda.
Yes.
But I spend countless hours either helping her decide, what song she wants to put out, which sound, what song she wants to pick, what vibe she wants to go with it, how she wants to put it together.
Yeah.
And then just even in the studio, making sure that she's giving it, I don't know, what the song needs to be the song she wants it to be. So
yeah, I think, I might as well call you a producer and a director. Because, when it comes to this, you sound as if you're making those decisions based off of what you're hearing too, right? Because of course your wife, and what happens is that you're listening to the music, you listen to the vibe, and it's kind of like, and you're a creative guy, right? So you want to make sure that it looks totally listened to in the music, being totally unique than what you're hearing from an R&B singer or from, and she kind of talked about the different realms of, you're not going to get the same thing of Prana Songbird. You're going to get rock. You're going to get R&B. You're going to get, a different type of vibe every single time. And I'm like, oh, now Erik is there. I said, that's where I'm getting it. Yeah.
It is, and it's very difficult. I mean, it's very relational, and I've worked with several artists in a lot of the same capacity where it's very, because you don't want to take away their voice and their sound that they have, but artists don't always even see everything that they bring to the table. And so when you have that person like myself in the studio with you, that you can push and pull that back and forth without taking away from what they were designing. It's like, yes, your design is your design, so it's perfect because it's yours, and we're going to push that forward. But if what you're trying to convey is this, well, I'm getting that. So either change what you're trying to convey and decide, okay, well, since you're getting this, then we're going to convey this, or figure out a better way to convey what you want to convey.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it's just that very relational environment, and where you spend a lot of time going back and forth going, man, you hit that better the first time, but I felt it more the second time. So, which do you want?
Right. I think that's a really great thing that you have you have that idea of which way you should go and what may attract more viewers and listeners to your music. I think you're looking. I'm sorry. When I heard her songs and I listened to multiple ones, of course, you being in the back end to be able to help produce and direct with music, I see you both have a creative style of, don't let's just be the same. Let's be different, right? Let's be where people listen to us together, even though you're singing it, but I'm in the background saying, hey, let's make this tweak. Let's make this sound a different, different way so people can understand where you're coming from. So I commend you, sir. I commend you both. Yes, sir. That I do. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Once again, everybody, you already know my man Erik Krefeld, the specialist, the production specialist, is with us on the Rico No Suave show. All right, Erik, give me 1 second. I got to talk about this flyer again because I am super happy to talk about Johnny Blas. You already know, at Dirty Nelly's, July 23rd, everybody. Woo-wee! Man, it's going to be from 8 p.m. Man, you know what? They might not even shut it down. He might just shut it down himself. And the Unique Events is presenting him of his song, me quieren quitar mi ritmo, tú sabes. Johnny Blas and the Afro. Man, I wish, man, you know what? I wish I can just have him play it right now so you guys can just go ahead and be there no matter what. And Afro Libre Orquesta will actually be there. Doors open at 4:45, everybody, and make sure you please just get there. I'm sorry. It's at 5 p.m. Sorry, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. I said 8 p.m. I'm about to get you guys there at the last segment. Yeah, just make sure you guys actually be there at 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's July 23rd. That is a Sunday, everybody. That is a Sunday. Free parking, $25 general admission. Make sure you guys please. And there are VIP seating. Make sure you guys go and check them out July 23rd. It is going to be the bomb, the single release. My man, Johnny Blas. Thank you guys so much, and the Unique Events. Thank you so much for believing in the show and actually having you guys actually advertise as far as with us. So make sure you guys go and check them out Sunday, July 23rd. All right, let's get back. Oh, yeah. All right, Erik. Hey, Erik, are you having a good time?
I am, man. And it's funny the way you always say production specialist. I feel like I need to create some theme music now for like I don't know, yeah, something a little Mission Impossible, but a little different, at the same time. And,
there you go. There you go. See, we vibing. We vibing right now. That's what we do. Yeah. We vibing, baby. We vibing. Hey, so of course, when it comes to music, there's the photography piece. If you're just now tuning in, everyone, there's the photography piece. It goes into music. They all come together because you could put a photo up, put some music behind it, and it's all by my man Erik Krefeld and the production specialist, all of that. But then there's also accolades that Erik has actually had, through his time of accomplishments, and you are a member of a few organizations. There may be many. Let's talk about those, Erik. Tell us about those.
Sure. I mean, a couple of the biggest ones that are just so important. Because really, my whole purpose in being anymore, I'll be honest, I have in the past had a fairly large ego, and everything I did was all about feeding me and what I wanted and what I was trying to do. And I've come to a much bigger place than that. And so now it's about the people I serve and the missions I'm on because of what I see that I need to get done. And so there's these people and these groups in my life now that are just super important to what we're doing. So UFTA is one of them, United Film and Television Artists. It's a group in Fort Myers, Florida. It's a bunch of, film people and we just support each other. There's people that have never shot anything. There's people that have never written anything. There's people that have never acted. There's people that have done tons of stuff. There's people that have acted and written and shot and produced and are multi-award winning, production people, but we're all there in the same room together, and we share a lot of information. I'm close friends with a lot of those people, and I've I've tried to bring them into different things that I have available whenever I can. And I think it's a really important part of being part of a film community. You know, my wife and I, we like to say that it's our film family, and we really do feel like that I joke around when people ask me what I do for a living. I say I collect people, because everywhere I go, every job I do, every project I'm on, everything I'm working on, there's always a person or two in that group that I go, man, I would love to work with that person again. And I
Yeah.
grab them and I hold on to them and I add them in somewhere. And then it never fails that one of these days it rolls back around and I grab that person again and go, man, we got to do this together. And we do. And it's so
Yeah.
cool. And so we do. We call them our film family. And our film family has grown really, really large. It was incredibly large right before COVID. COVID kind of, put the kibosh and squashed a lot of stuff. And we still stayed, in connection and tight with each other. But then it was much more difficult afterwards to be working on things regularly together still. But the film family is still there, and part of it is with that group UFTA. Part of a big part of what we're doing now is with UFTA. We work with the Bonita Springs Film Festival. I'm the official photographer there for the film festivals, and the film festivals there are great too. That's a nonprofit organization, and they really bring and embrace a lot of new film people. So if you're somebody out there who has a story to tell and you've always been wanting to figure out a way to do it, man, call up a group like UFTA and join and talk to them and meet some of us and let us help you get your story onto a film and into a film festival where people can start to see and hear your story.
That's
And then,
beautiful.
from there you go into, film festival after film festival and just keep the balls rolling. But then, wearestarfish.org. My wife and I took on wearestarfish.org a few years ago. It was a little clunky, because we weren't quite sure what we were doing with it. We knew we wanted to serve the youth. We knew that there is a systemic problem out there in our country, if not the world in general,
Yeah.
where youth in general are being overlooked, and the problems that they have and the things that they're dealing with are bigger than the solutions that they have to work with. And so, over the years, we've tried to develop wearestarfish.org to be an organization that will provide support and resources to young people to deal with the things that they have to deal with. So taking, being foster kids and orphans and adoptees and things that are very personal to us. There's also, developmentally disabled people, elder care. There's a lot of, the starfish, we picked it for a reason because it has 5 arms. And so we wanted something that had multiple branches to it so that we can serve all kinds of people that are dealing with all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the beauty of the starfish is that it does regenerate, and it has the ability to become basically a whole brand new thing, even when something's wrong with a piece of it. And so that's kind of the idea, is that when something is wrong, that if you get together in a community and you work with other people that can help support you, that thing that's wrong can regenerate and become a brand new thing that helps you now support the next person. So
One of the things that I do want to really reiterate, because when I did talk to your wife Prana in regards to that organization, but the one thing that, let me back up, because there's so many things that you've actually said which was so positive, but also there was some as far as kind of that lesson learned. Now, you did speak a little bit about saying about the ego piece. I think, some of us go through what we may call an ego, more of confidence, of trying to build ourselves, to be able to say, hey, I need to really build myself. I need to focus on myself. I need to build myself. Not saying that I'm against people, but sometimes people might take that as ego, right? Because they're thinking, oh, he's all that, or she thinks she's all that. But you're technically focusing on yourself. And then you realize that there's people out there that loves your work, love what you're doing, and you kind of forgot about them because you're like, oh, well, I'm trying to focus on my craft. I'm trying to focus on the ability to make sure that I'm trying to be that picture perfect, no pun intended, but that picture perfect type person to be able to make sure that the world sees me as this. And then all of a sudden you realize and say, well, man, I'm going to be doing this for a long time. And then you brought it down and then you realize that I need to help my people that actually are either trying to do the same thing I'm doing, but also I need to connect with great people because then I can't think of everything on my own, right? I can't think of everything on my own. So it's kind of a way that, you know, you have to think about that lesson learned of actually just focusing more on yourself, but also you start focusing on other people that can actually be a part of your world to be great, you know.
Yeah,
And I think that's I really love
absolutely, man.
that piece.
I get I get so much more done when I lock arms with other people that
Yeah.
can help just support the mission of what needs to happen. Because then it's not
Yes.
about me. I can even step back. I can
Yeah.
step back
Yeah.
and just allow everything to happen. Just grab the people and bring them together and be like, look, man, I've known you for 10 years and you do this amazing, and I've known you for 6 years and you're great at this. And hey, you are incredible at this other thing. I've known you my whole life. Let's get together and do this because this
Right.
is what needs to get done, and it's going to help so many people if it gets done. And it
Right.
doesn't even matter if I'm in the middle of it anymore. All that
Right.
matters is I've got these incredible people that are great at what they do, and they're going to change somebody's life just with their existence.
Yeah. I like the piece of that, and I really commend in regards to your accomplishments and things that you learned. So we got a few more minutes of fame. You already know everybody. My man Erik Krefeld is here with us. So I do want to talk about one real brief thing in regards to your visual arts. Of course, being a videographer as well, and also doing film. So you also do film as well too, right? Do you do movies
Yep.
or short films as well, right? Okay,
Yep.
and you really talked about storytelling. I know that was a big thing in regards to, you know, telling a story and people understanding as far as bringing that all to light as well. You know, have you ever took a video and while you're filming that person talking about their story, have you ever had your just heart just drop, or you maybe wanted to shed a tear while you were
Oh yeah.
actually taking video?
Yeah, I'm really good at checking out. I'll be honest. I've over the
Wow.
years I've developed a technique of I'm focused on the image, I'm focused on the light, I'm focused on the focus. I'm so busy focusing on that I'm not listening to what they're saying.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, man, there was one I'll never forget it. I was working with a gentleman, and we were actually filming some foster care parents and some people that were having their kids sometimes removed from their homes, and we were talking to these families about the things that were happening, and I was filming it for something I was working on, and there was this one man, this one lady. I mean, my heart just I had to stop it for a minute. I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I need a minute. I need a minute, and then I can come back to this because it was almost overwhelmingly powerful that I was like, it just I just need a moment. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and I try to people like comedy, and I get it. People need a break sometimes from all the seriousness out there, and people get relief from comedy, and um but I don't know, man. I am so much more at home trying to drive a just a powerful story to someone.
Yeah.
So whether it's a short film or a music video, we're working with a band right now, PBM. We're getting ready to shoot their music video in September. I worked with these guys, 15 years ago, and and they're partnering actually with us in Michigan. July
Nice.
27th, Ron is actually going to be a special guest and sing with them in Pontiac, Michigan at the Crowfoot Lounge. Um, and the show, all the money, all the proceeds that come from that show, whether it's the live stream or it's the show itself, all the money that goes from that is all going to be going back to putting music back in the hands of kids, youth, children
Nice.
in the public school system. So one way or
Nice.
another, whether it's providing scholarships for kids with it, or it's working directly with like a Michigan school system and making sure that these kids have the money to get music in school. That's
Yeah.
what it's going toward. And so like it's just amazing how things come around full circle over and over again. How
Yes.
um,
It's called karma.
and
That's what it's called.
all have yeah, absolutely karma.
Great karma. My man. Man. If I had another half an hour, I think we'll still be good. But unfortunately, it's the end of our fame. But I do have something for you, and I'm sure you already knew this because I interviewed your wife. I got a shirt for you, sir. You know I have a shirt for you, too. I want you both to I want you both to actually take a photo. But just like I told her, and I'm telling you, being a specialist and being multi-talent like you are from a young age, the one thing that I do have to say is the multi-talented piece of being able to do photography, videography, and also with music. It all comes together in regards to one big story where you actually have a still frame of a photo that you can actually make it creative to take a video of someone telling a story and being heartfelt, and you can freeze a frame or however you want to do it. I'm trying to be technical, right? And then, of course, you have also the music that's behind it that just makes everything flow together. So, by you actually having this, and also a big shout out to legal guardian, to your parents that actually enraised you in that multi-talented culture. You deserve this shirt, right? You deserve it. And it's a symbolism of what we feel from the Rico No Suave show. You definitely deserve it. And I wish you nothing but more success as well, too. So welcome to the family, sir. Welcome to the family. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you do. Big
Thank
shout out
you.
to Rico No Suave and his show for bringing all kinds of talented people on this show and exposing the whole world to what people have to see and say and talk about. So thank you for what you do, my friend.
That means a lot to me, sir. That means a lot to me. That's for sure. We're going to put up your social media. We got to definitely put up your social media so people can get in contact with you. We want the whole world to be able to know. AOKpictures.com. Yes, you already know. Make sure you guys go to that website. You'll see all of the great photos, and you'll be able to see exactly the mission that they're on as far as on that website. All right, here's the next one. TV Live. Get it, baby. GetTVLive.com. Yes, make sure you please go ahead and go to that website. You're talking about video. We're talking about cinema. We're talking about all of the great stuff as well, too. Make sure you go to that website. All right, here's the next one. Oh, we got Facebook. You want to get personal, up close and personal? My man, Erik Krefeld, he is on Facebook, everybody. So please make sure you go ahead and go there, and please just tell him you saw him on the Rico No Suave show. He'll accept you. Just make sure you say that, okay? All right. Here's the next one. What is it? Get TV Live now, baby. Let's go. Make sure you put that now on there. Now. Don't not put the now on there. You got to put the now on there, right? Because that's where you want to actually follow him. Make sure you follow them now. No pun intended, but do it now. Erik, I had a great time, man. There's some photos I do want to put up real quick before I let you go. There's some photos that you sent me. Of course, I want the world to see exactly some of your work. And if there's your beautiful wife, yes, that is Prada. You guys, I look like you guys are in the studio, rocking it out, ready to go with the piano in the back end. I really love this photo. Great photo as well, too. Here's the next one. Oh, yeah, this was actually on scene. Wow, I wish I could have been there. That's a beautiful one. I like that one.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, that looks fun. Yeah, that looks like a fun photo. I like those. I just wanted to show them, a couple photos of you. But Erik, I want to thank you so much for being on the show with us today, man. And yes, make sure you send me those photos because I want to see exactly which ones I'm going to pick out for you to be able to frame. You got to get into doing that. You got to do it.
Will do.
All right, sir. Well, I know you got the bed behind you. I know you're going to take a nap. Hey, I want to say good night to you, sir. Sleep well, but thank you so much for being on the show with us. Have a great day, all right? That's Erik Krefeld.
Thank you.
Of course. Take care of yourself, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Right on.
All right, everybody, that was my man, Erik Krefeld. Yes, he is the bomb. He is the specialist, everyone. So make sure you please go right ahead and take care of his social media. Make sure you go ahead and follow him. Go onto his website. Tell him that you saw him here on the Rico No Suave show. And then just show him some love, right? Because he'll definitely take care of you. We got to show our social media as well, too. Let's get it on. www.thericonosuaveshow.com. Yes, that's where you find all of our archives. That's where you find everything about us. If you want to be on the show, we got to contact us. So make sure you contact us. Let us know that you want to actually be on the show with us. Here's the next one. Boom. You already know. It's at Rico No Suave Show. Make sure you go and follow us there. Do it now. Just like on Get TV Live now. Do it now. The Rico No Suave Show. Here we go. Facebook asked us to come back, and of course, we said, all right, since you're begging us, why not? Rico No Suave Show, make sure you go and follow us there. Share all of our content. We always got LOL. We got the happy birthdays and all of that great stuff coming up for our next guest. All right, here we go. Yes, YouTube. Subscribe now. We're building our journey. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, Rico No Suave Show. Please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Do it now. Put those notifications on too. Last but not least, it turns to a podcast, everybody. So if you're actually driving, yes, you're driving safely, listen to the show. Mixcloud.com/Rico No Suave Show. That's where you'll find us on the podcast level, the audio. All right, everybody. Next week is going to be super fun. Next week, we got the two Lucy's. Yes, the two Lucy's, everybody. It's going to be awesome. I want you guys to make sure you guys tune in. It's going to be a comedy show, but we're going to have a great time. I'm so happy to be able to hear from them as well. So they'll both will be on the show. Yes, we'll be virtual, but they'll both be on the show with us. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next time on the show as we end off just like this. Dale.